Okay, welcome to Realmeltan. Today we're going to do another motherboard review. So this is the MSI Z590 Tomahawk Wi-Fi. So as with every other motherboard review that we have done, we are going to start off the unboxing first, show you what's inside when you buy this motherboard. Okay, it's been a while since we have done an unboxing, so sounds pretty exciting, I hope. Is it exciting, Gordon?
Go ahead.
Okay, so let's open this up. Right, so first thing we see this small box. So it comes with the Wi-Fi antenna for the motherboard. Then this very cool thing. So finally we don't have a CD for your motherboard drivers. MSI has finally given us a USB drive for your motherboard drivers. Yeah.
What? No free sleep?
Yeah, we can't throw any more things on people's heads, so this thing's much better.
Damn it!
Okay, so we have the motherboard, of course. Let's set this aside first. Yep, then it comes with also M.2 screws and standoffs, a pair of SATA cables for your SATA hard drives, another set of M.2 screws and standoffs, motherboard manual, thank you card from MSI for spending money with MSI, join the VIP program, stickers, a shout out card. It says something like you can leave a review online so that your next customer can see about your review. Quick install guide, I don't think you need this. The MSI badge of honor, and yeah, a catalog so that you can buy more MSI stuff. This is what it is, pretty normal for a mid-range motherboard. And we forgot to mention this motherboard retails at about $400. We're not so sure what actual price, but we're guessing that's going to be the price. When we get the actual price, we'll update you guys. Okay, so right now we're going to go through this Z590 motherboard. So first things first, you can see now it has much bigger heat sinks and capacitors for the CPU, because we all know what CPU is going to run on this motherboard. The CPU which we cannot name because MSI said so, but anyway, you guys know anyway. Yeah. So these heat sinks are definitely there to accommodate the power hungry and the heat crazy new CPU that's going to be on this motherboard. So yes, it has 4 RAM slots, 8 plus 4 pin CPU power. Make sure to plug in both the 8 and 4 pin for your CPU, because that CPU will fully utilize this 8 plus 4 pin to give it the power that it requires. Yeah, before we go on to the main part, the M.2 slots and PCI slots, there are some things here. So there's this front USB Type-C connector. Gordon loves this. It's becoming more of a mainstay for every motherboard, so it's good to see this front USB over here. So another thing is that it also has a Thunderbolt header. So if you ever want to have a Thunderbolt card on your motherboard, you can plug in your external Thunderbolt card using this Thunderbolt header. Let's go on to the M.2 slots and the PCIe slots. Compared to the Z490 motherboard, now we have 3 M.2 slots, 1, 2 and 3. So the first one is a Gen 4 slot. So later on you can see the video, we are not going to use our SSD on this slot because the 1000K that we're going to use on this board currently does not support Gen 3, so we're going to plug in the SSD on the second slot instead. If you're going to put a SSD on the second slot, do note that you are not able to use SATA ports number 2. And if you're going to use the third M.2 slot, SATA ports 5 and 6 were turned off. So if you're going to use all 3 M.2 slots, you're only going to left with 3 SATA ports, which we think good enough, because for this range of motherboard, I don't think you're going to use more than, I don't know, 10 SSDs or 10 hard drives. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter anyway. Okay, so PCIe slots, similar to B550, the first slot with the heat shield is a Gen 4 X16 slot. This is a Gen 3 X1 slot. 1000K does not support Gen 4, but anyway, the card we're going to use later to power this board, we're just going to plug into there because why not? So this is kind of the new things that we see on the board, but wait, there's still one more new thing, and that we have to see when we go to the back I/O. You have DisplayPort 1.4, HDMI 2.0, a BIOS flashback button, 2 USB 2.0 ports, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports, another 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 port, 1 USB 3.2 Gen 2 port, and 1 Type-C port. As you can see also, this board finally has Wi-Fi, and not just any Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi 6E. Don't ask us what's the difference between 6 and 6E, but it just sounds more powerful and you are very sure that it's going to give you awesome Wi-Fi.
Well, because adding a letter at the end makes things faster.
Yeah, Express.
Yeah. Yes.
But if you don't use Wi-Fi, you also have the 2.5G Ethernet port. So you have both LAN and Wi-Fi. And you will have your standard line in and line out for your audio devices. So you can really see we have a bunch of PC parts in front of us to power on this board. So first thing mentioned earlier video, we are going to use the Core i9 10900K because the CPU, which cannot be named, has not arrived yet.
Okay, right, so let's get right down to the test bench itself. So Mel has already gone through the parts list, so I'm not gonna repeat that. The only thing I'm gonna point out is that we ran into some technical issues earlier with the Silverstone AIO's default fans, so we have swapped them out for 3 of our 2000 RPM fans themselves. Other than that, there are no other changes. I'm not gonna use a screwdriver to turn this on for once. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna press the power button I have right over here on my test bench. So alright, in the BIOS itself, what I'm going to go through is a couple of things that are of note. So you can see my Samsung 960 Pro is right over there, occupying the second M.2 slot, that means the one right in the middle. First off, under PCIe subsystem settings, since this is the latest version of the BIOS, the one dated 25th of February, so you will notice a couple of things here. You have above 4G memory cryptocurrency mining. If you switch this to enable, you can also enable the resize bar support as well, also known as what AMD terms as smart access memories. This feature has been implemented in this particular Intel Z590 motherboard, but since the RTX 3080 we have here does not support it as of yet, so we're gonna leave that back to default, which is both of them will be disabled. This is of particular note to those of you who are using applications that require Intel QuickSync. The good news is, you come to here, you can enable. So if we were to boot into Windows later, you will be able to see that yes, the Intel iGPU of the 10900K will be visible. So this is good news for those of you who are using Adobe Premiere. Right, so under the OC menu, I have not done any changes. The only change I have made is the XMP profile. I have turned on the XMP to 3600 CL16. And you may be wondering what is this over here. Yeah, so you'll see I have 3 settings: box cooler PL1, 1250 volts, power air cooler PL1, 288, and water cooler 4096 watts. As we have a 360 right down here, I'm gonna go with the water cooler setting because I also want to be able to test out this 10900K without any limiter set by the BIOS itself. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything else is set to stock. If I come to here, because I have nothing else connected to here, right now it's set to PWM. The curve is controlling 3 fans that you see on the AIO itself. The pump, I have set it to DC with no speed control at all. I've just set it to maximum, which is 3.2k RPM. Right, we have started up Windows 10. And as you can see right now, I am here in Cinebench R23. Yes, I am 3 minutes into the run. As you can see from the counter down there, I'm left in about 7.5 minutes. A good thing to always do when you're running this thing is to have a monitoring utility on. As you notice in the BIOS just now, I set the cooler profile to a water cooler, which means I basically removed all the limiters wherever it's in PL1 or PL2 state. I will probably elaborate on that more in another video. But the point remains that yes, you can see all 10 cores are running at 4.9 GHz as they should, because the 10900K, if you do not manually overclock it, this is supposed to be its maximum all-core boost. Yeah, sure, on paper it does have a maximum turbo boost of 5.3, but that's only on one core. So if you're talking about all-core boost on all 10, it's 4.9, which is what you see here. So if we were to move right down at 4.9 GHz loaded on all 10 cores, do keep in mind I have a 360 radiator right over here and I am in the high 80s. Ooh, hot. You can see my CPU package power, yeah, that's a lot of power it's drawing. That's 220, 230 watts. CPU fan header is connected to the 3 fans on the AIO, so they are maxed out as far as it goes. Almost 2k RPM. We will know the CPU is going to get throttled down if it ever drops from this, but since it's maintaining at 4.9, let's fast forward a bit and we'll get right to the score itself. So if you turn right to there, 16291 points. Again, I must emphasize, we have not overclocked this guy. We have only left this guy to do his own thing at the default all-core of 4.9 GHz. No thermal throttling, no power throttling or whatsoever. These are the results that we got. I'm going to bring in the score from a Z490 motherboard which we have on hand. It is the Z490 Ace. If that guy sounds familiar, it's because yes, we did a review on that. That one has got a score of a little bit over 16,000. So what does this tell us? I would say difference of 200 points. We're looking at like within the margin of error here. But it is kind of impressive to see that, yeah, a mid-range Z590 can go toe-to-toe with what was a top-of-the-line or near top-of-the-line Z490 motherboard. I'll say it's a good thing.
Alright, so we have gone through the motherboard, we have powered it on. Does this make for a compelling reason to buy under $400? What do you think?
Under $400. Let me think.
Yep.
Based on the points that you raised just now, when you went through the features and all that, the points you raised up were good points, because actually I was going through the pricing of all the other Z590 motherboards from all the other brands, which I can't go more into detail because reasons. If I were to compare versus them, all three have heat shields. Secondly, this guy, for that price range, has onboard Wi-Fi 6E. It also has all the other features that a Z590 motherboard in this price range typically carry, but these are the two things that kind of struck my attention. If it's really gonna float around there, this board will make for incredible value for money.
And of course, we have seen from the numbers from R23, this guy performs as well as Z490 Ace, so...
Yeah, using that very same CPU, it stands toe-to-toe with a top-tier sibling from the last generation.
Anyway, yes, so if you like this video, make sure to give us a thumbs up. I will include all of these parts inside the description box, so if you want to help us the channel, you can buy these parts using our Amazon affiliate links. Yes, write down in the comments if you think this is a good board for you. Come back to our channel, subscribe to our channel, because we may get our hands on that CPU. If we do get that, we're gonna do a lot of crazy things with that CPU. So
the CPU which must not be named.
yeah, so with that, thank you Gordon, and we say goodbye.